From the weird to the insane.
Welcome back. It is Darren Howard.
And Robert Nisbet.
We are back again with Radio Free Canada for Friday, August the 3rd, 2012. We are part of society's ever-growing defense system against the BS in modern media. We are here as an alternative. We have siphoned through thousands of hours of nonsense in mainstream news. We've gotten rid of the Olympics. We got rid of Justin Bieber, and we're going to bring you the real stuff.
Absolutely. We're talking about things that the mainstream media is not talking about. We're talking about stuff that they should be talking about.
And why aren't they talking about it? We'll be talking about that. But, of course, we have a little bit of legal nonsense to go through. So, before we start things off, we will remind you that everything that you're about to hear is protected under Section 2 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, at least until Stephen Harper gets his way.
And we are making use of media that is protected under the International Fair Use Copyright Laws.
International Fair Usage Copyright Laws. I'm loving it because we are going to be bringing you clips from CBC, from Global, from all over the news world, and especially Russia today. We're going to be bringing you the real news. So remember, everything that you're about to hear is only our opinion. So if you hear something that makes you go jump off a bridge, do not jump off a bridge.
And we do urge you to go check out what we say for yourselves. Do your own research.
Yeah.
Get yourself informed so you know what's going on.
We do not know everything. We need you to inform us of when we screw up. So remember, if you're an in-the-box kind of person,
if you think banks should not pay taxes,
if you think Walmart should profit from Chinese slave labor,
if you think governments and big business have our best interests at heart,
if you think that McDonald's is a restaurant,
or CHBC is the news,
then stop listening now. Please stop listening. If you think that major media is actually telling the story, we need you to stop listening and do not get on our Facebook wall and say that we suck. We realize you think that we suck. This is Red Pill Radio. The revolution is occurring. It's not being televised, but we're winning.
We're winning. We love to win.
One of my favorite personalities while we start things off is Rick Mercer. So to get things off on the right note, let's hear from our friend in Canada, Rick Mercer rant.
Well, there's no doubt about it. At this point in time, it's clear this country is under attack by a highly contagious virus. And I'm not talking about the swine flu here. We've got a vaccine for that. I'm talking about old-fashioned fear. I've never seen anything like it. This past week, we had thousands of people lining up outside of a clinic for 5 hours when they were told there was no vaccine inside. Do you know who lines up for 5 hours in the cold? 13-year-olds looking for Jonas Brother tickets. Rational adults do not do that. And it's not even our fault. Canadians are terrified, and in times of crisis, we get our information from the media and the government, which is ironic because we don't trust either one of them. And look at the media. Last week, you turned on the news. Every time you turned it on, the anchor was saying, oh my God, there's an outbreak at a Toronto hospital. Outbreak, outbreak, outbreak. And then they happen to mention, oh, by the way, outbreak is a technical term. It means 3 people have the flu. No. We know what outbreak is. It's a Dustin Hoffman movie about a monkey that bites a dude and then his head explodes. In fact, it's 2.5 hours of a guy's head exploding. So the media is not really helping us out on the whole panic front. And then there's the government. Sure, it would be nice if the government stepped up to the plate, but to be fair, they are very busy running advertising, telling us what a great job they're doing on the whole shovels in the ground thing. Apparently, you can only advertise so many things at once. So it looks like we're on our own. But that's okay because Canadians can beat this thing. All we have to do is put our minds to it. Because unlike the flu, panic, it's all in our head.
So the lesson there is don't panic. Your government is in control.
Yes, indeed. And remember, if we're offending you, please go back to shopping and thinking that everything is just fine. For those of you with your eyes open, we're here to support you. You're the person who gets a sign. You're the person who informs others on the internet. You're the person who actually looks at the real news. We're here for you.
You're the person that gets off the couch and does what needs to be done.
We are growing. Everybody is winning the activist world. Things are changing. Governments Governments are being overthrown, and mainstream media isn't covering it.
And bankers are being arrested. And once again, governments or media is not covering that.
I know. Okay, so yeah, I know. I get a little choked up too because bankers are getting arrested. I'm loving it. I can't believe it's going so well. We've got to take a quick network break. We're exactly on time today. We're going to be covering all kinds of stuff. Hang on a second. Where's the list?
We're talking about Frankenfoods, GMO apples coming to the Okanagan Valley.
Yeah, I know. That's a big thing. We're also going to be talking about the vitamin police. Health Canada is getting out of control. We don't get this thing.
They're acting just like the FDA down in the States.
Why would you take vitamins and health stuff off the shelves? We're going to be asking that question. We're going to be talking about Olympic myopia and the way there's no news when the Olympics is on.
Exactly. We're going to be talking about the powder keg that's occurring in the Middle East. We're headed to World War III, folks.
Nixon is coming up. Oh, by the way, false flag. Okay, look it up. False flag attack is on the way. We know this, and we're predicting it. So you can look back at Radio Free Canada and say, yes, we heard there was going to be a terrorist attack. Well, let's see which war this brings us into. This is Radio Free Canada. I am Darren Howard.
And I am Robert Nisbet. It's Red Pill Radio, baby.
You know what? We do have to take a break because I wish we could just run clips right off the start. We'd like to thank everybody from the different networks who are carrying us through the United States and the UK right now. We are underground radio. We're being mirrored by people all over the planet right now. And a big shout out to WTPN. Roger Landy, Lynn Nichols, you guys are doing a great job. We're going to get in contact with their media coming up in September as our official launch comes up. This is my favorite song to start the show off
because it takes off the conservatives.
From the vinyl vault just to tick off the conservatives, this is Sting warming up to Dire Straits, okay, and bringing those lyrics that make those conservatives crawl. Remember, live well, do it obviously in front of a conservative. You'll help overthrow the government today. We'll be right back. 2 minutes, okay? Okay. Sorry about that. I'm sitting here listening to this song, and all of a sudden the little light goes on. It's just like, hey, yeah, you got a whole, a bunch of people coming back.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well, it's Friday before the long weekend, man.
Yeah, we have to get back to work here.
Yeah, I know. It's time to get back to work. Special dedication out there. Dire Straits off of the Money or the Brothers in Arms album. Awesome album. Please, if you're a conservative, memorize every lyric to every song on that album until it just hits home.
And if you know a conservative, please send them a copy.
Yeah, I know, but they don't, don't dance, don't smoke, don't do nothing, man. Okay,
Yeah, they're not much in the fun.
Sorry about your luck. Okay, look, we've got a really big show coming up here today. We do want to remind you we've got a major release coming up September the 15th. Radio Free Canada, our official launch date is coming up. We're going to be at City Park, so start making your signs for that now. Tell us what you want us to be talking about. We've got speakers coming down. We're going to have a huge time right down at the sales in City Park, and it's going to be September the 15th. Of course, we'll see what the city has to say about that.
That'll be 4 days after the anniversary of September 11th.
Yes. Okay. And this is a pretty important time because there's still senior citizens in Kelowna who think jet fuel brought down 2 towers. No, 3
towers.
3 towers where we've got structural engineers saying it's all a big pile of BS. The truth is out there. We're not conspiracy theorists. We're just honest.
We promise we'll stop telling the truth when they stop lying.
We're going to be abjectly mocking Stephen Harper coming up a little bit later on today. And looking forward to the show. We've got a Mock Harper Monday coming up. And then we've got a little bit of a summer break towards the end of August. And we're going to be advising listeners of what's coming up there. Also, we're going to be talking about Anaheim and Aurora. So, GMOs starting things off.
Yes,
okay, right here.
GMO apples are being proposed for the Okanagan. But first, a little background on what GMOs are for those who have been in a cave for the past few years.
Right, right on. Check this out.
Genetically engineered crops in agriculture, a worldwide experiment on people, animals, and nature. Cultivation of genetically engineered crops like soy, maize, cotton, or canola have far-reaching consequences. 90% of genetically engineered crops belong to the corporate agricultural group Monsanto. The rest are owned by Syngenta, DuPont, Bayer, and others. Genetic manipulation of crops can have uncontrollable consequences. The function of genomes is only partially understood, but foreign genes are still introduced into crops. These genetically engineered crops are widely cultivated outdoors, where they cannot be controlled. Currently, 90% of GE cultivation occurs in the Americas, particularly in the USA, Argentina, Brazil, and Canada. It seems researchers have forgotten that genetically engineered crops once outside can no longer be controlled like they could in the lab. GE crops can self-replicate and pass on their new characteristics to neighboring crops, penetrating the fields of farmers who want to cultivate their crops without genetic engineering. Adverts from the genetic engineering lobby claim genetically engineered crops produce higher yields, but this marketing mantra is a complete hoax. It has been shown that crop yields for GE crops are no higher than normal crops, but farmers must buy more expensive patented genetically engineered seeds each year. This forces them to become dependent on corporate giants. But that's not all. Genetic engineering giants also produce pesticides and herbicides. There are 2 characteristic traits of genetically engineered crops. They are either resistant to herbicides, in which case the genetic engineering company itself produces the suitable herbicide, or the genetically engineered crop emits an insecticide. Whether or not the crops are resistant to weed killer or give off poisonous gases, not only weeds or pests are eliminated, other beneficial field growth and some living creatures are killed as well. But nature adapts, so pests and weeds develop resistance to pesticides. And that means that increasing amounts of stronger pesticides will be used. Especially grave consequences are observed in this respect in monocultures. For example, in South America, rainforests and other natural landscapes are destroyed every day to make room for genetically engineered monocultures and pasture. At the same time, the soil and groundwater are poisoned. On top of that, the genetic engineering lobby claims genetically engineered crops can help to reduce world hunger. Genetic engineering is not the answer. There is enough food on Earth. The problem is that it's not distributed fairly. But the fact is that most genetically engineered crops find their way into the livestock chain, so they end up as meat or dairy products in supermarkets. Along with all the destructive effects on the environment, one last awkward question remains. How do genetically engineered crops affect humans and animals? The answer is, no one knows. Therefore, it's important for you to carefully consider which products you buy. Get informed and get involved, because our world is not a testing ground. For more information about genetic engineering, go to greenpeace.org/GMO.
That's an awesome little video right here. Now, it seems pretty heavy subject. GMOs are banned in Japan. They're banned all across the UK, all across Europe. We cannot ship soy to the UK and Japan now in Asia because they're banned straight out. Those governments are protecting their people.
Yeah, and USA and Canada are the only two countries in the developed world who do not label genetically modified foods.
And this is crazy because they're not, mainstream media is missing out on this altogether. CHBC, AM 1150 refused to carry the story. We don't know why this is true. In your hometown, no matter where you are on the planet, your mainstream news is not covering it. However, people are winning the battle, okay? And that's happening everywhere. India. Okay, Poland, blah, 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 blah.
All over the place, yeah.
Right? There's many cases of wins. We need a win. This is the story. This is a real story ignored by local media. Okay?
Saanich South.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, the BC tree fruit industry produces a healthy product that is world famous for flavor and purity. Growers are concerned that this marketing advantage is about to be undermined and put at risk as the federal government is considering the introduction of a genetically modified apple tree into the Okanagan. Joe Sardina, a conventional apple grower, has this to say: "Until I am convinced there won't be a market backlash, I'm not willing to take that risk." Fred Steele, another conventional grower, says, "Our markets will disappear." The BC Fruit Growers Association just last year passed a resolution opposing the introduction of genetically modified fruit. What has the Agriculture Minister done to raise the concerns of our world-class apple growers with the federal government?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to extend my thank you to the member from Boundary Smilkameen, a person who is well in tune with the apple industry, for raising this issue with me and asking my staff to look into it. And because of that, actually, I have some information for the member opposite. So, even though we all realize that the CFIA is a federal entity, and perhaps this question be best raised by perhaps maybe the agriculture critic from the NDP at the federal level, I'm sure Thomas Mulcair is very pleased it's being asked here. But for that reason, you know what? Because we want to know the answer, here's a couple of things you should know. First of all, when the member from Boundary Smilkameen raised this issue, I said to my Deputy Minister, we want to make sure the CFIA is aware. He has talked to the President of CFI. The CFIA President is aware that we are questioning what's going on in this issue, even though it is a federal responsibility. Furthermore, I also asked, because I know there's concerns raised by the member from Boundary Smilkameen in the organic industry, and I know the agriculture critic actually is very concerned about the organic industry. So just today, I asked my staff to make sure that the COABC, who represents the organic industry of British Columbia, is aware of this issue as well. I am very confident the federal government is on top of it, but I'm also equally as confident that my ministry is as well.
Okay. Now, the reason that wasn't a news clip is because the news is not covering this story.
Yeah.
That was a clip from the BC Parliament question period.
Yeah, BC Parliament question period. For some reason, we've got Global and all of these major media outlets that are not carrying the story about genetically modified foods.
You won't see this on CHBC.
Nope, you won't hear it on AM 1150. We're not sure why the government doesn't protect us from genetically modified food. But right here in the Okanagan Valley, we're proud of our apples.
That's right. They're a world-class product.
And they are going to be banned in the UK. They're going to be banned in Asia because we're getting corrupted by the Monsanto Corporation.
And not only that, but genetically modified crops can affect our organically grown apples here as well.
And it's it's one of those nightmares that we've got to get rid of. We do have to take a really quick break right now for those of you who are down in the United States who need us to take a break. We're going to take 2 minutes right now, but we're going to give you the names and addresses of where you can start starting your action. And we're challenging those people in the GMO world to stand up. 2 minutes, we're going to be right back. A little bit of music from the Vinyl Vault to carry you over. It's Radio Free Canada, baby. Fine young cannibals right there. She drives me crazy when she's talking. Heidi Osterman, she drives me crazy too, man. You're talking about a supermodel who's stepping up and making things happen against the GMO world and for pro health. You know, it's the True Food Foundation. If you do not know what the True Food Foundation is, it's in Kelowna, British Columbia. It's headed up by Heidi Osterman and Dr. Whittle, and they do an awesome job.
That they do. So if you have concerns about genetically modified apples, please get in touch with truefoods.org.
Yeah, and make sure you get out there and say, hey, what are you guys going to do? When are you guys going to do a rally about this? Because we need to preserve our apples to be able to ship it to, you know, where we traditionally have shipped apples. My relatives over in England, they would like to have some BC apples. If you want to phone the BC Fruit Growers Association, phone 250-762-5226. You can also fax the BC Fruit Growers Association at 250-861-9089. The number, but to give them a call, is 250-762-5226. Make sure you talk to them about GMO apples.
And if you want to contact Okanagan Specialty Fruits, Inc., and express your displeasure at the idea of introducing this crop to our pristine valley, please email them at info@okspecialtyfruits.com.
That's info@okspecialtyfruits.com. It's vitally important that you get a hold of them and let them know that you know what they're doing, but they won't list their phone number or their address. It's P.O. Box 1533, Summerland, BC, VOH1ZO. You can get a hold of that. We're going to run that, but I want you to listen to this story because it's going to explain just a little bit. It's from the Daily Dose. So let's run this so that you're better informed when you talk to these guys. Okay? You got it? Right on. Oh, this is cool.
Hello, this is Darren Craddock from Inner Health Botanicals with the Daily Dose. And I'm talking to you today about a very important issue. I'd first like to give a big thanks to our friends at the Alliance for Natural Health for bringing these health alerts to our attention. Very important health alerts that, you know, they're very wonderful and about bringing this information up to all of us that need to know. The current topic I want to talk about today is Franken apples. Concept of an apple that never goes brown, but at what price? You know, obviously it would seem to me that if we really look into it, the genetic engineering required to suppress enzymes actually causes the creation of proteins that are very, very unnatural. So you may think, oh, well, great idea to have an apple that never turns brown, but the unnatural proteins created in the process are not tested. No one knows what effects they could have, just as all the other genetically modified foods out there. The fact of the matter is rats, mice, and other livestock fed GE ingredients have had all sorts of toxic reactions leading to deterioration of their guts, deterioration of their livers and kidneys, and nothing is done about this. No one is actually stepping up and stopping this. There is a 60-day hearing period, though, with the USDA, so you can bring your comments to bear, call your senators, call your congresspeople, let the USDA know your thoughts on this issue. I personally like eating a regular apple that's grown on a regular tree. There's also cross-pollination issues, because if bees go and pollinate a tree that's genetically engineered and then go fly off to another orchard down the street that's organic, the potential for cross-contamination and cross-pollination of this genetically engineered material is very high. There was an ex-USDA, Monsanto employee, Mr. Acevedo, who you can read about a little bit more in this text, who was very, very concerned when he saw this toxic reaction that caused the death of livestock, and brought it to Monsanto's knowledge, and his other fellow researchers said to him, well, they're not going to change anything. Do they ever change anything for the benefit of humanity? No, it's always for the bottom line. So these are things we need to be really expressly concerned about. So look at the text that accompanies this video, click on the button that says Action Alert, and make your voice known. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be biting into any Franken apples anytime soon. The two forms that, when they do go on the market, are the most likely to appear first will be Golden Delicious and Granny Smith, since they're two of the most popular. Stay alert, stay aware, stay healthy. Thank you for listening. This is Darren Craddock from Enter Health Botanicals with the Daily Dose.
Make sure you get on the Daily Dose, too, because they can help you out with a lot of inside information. We do have a news story that we're going to run at the end of the video radio on YouTube with Radio Free Canada, where we're going to talk about pathogens found within GMOs. The addresses, once again, hey, here. What did you do? You moved it, darn it, Robert!
Okanagan Specialty Fruits. His email address is info@okspecialtyfruits.com.
Those are the guys who are trying to ram GMOs down your throat just for their small amount of profit to debilitate the entire Okanagan apple industry. Is going to destroy us. Remember, Summerland, BC is where they are. P.O. Box 1533, Summerland, BC, for Okanagan Specialty Fruits Incorporated. info@okspecialtyfruits.com. Of course, phone the BC Fruit Growers Association at 250-762-5226. That's the number for the BC Fruit Growers Association. You can also visit them at 1473 Water Street, and we urge you to get a sign, get informed, and get down there. But True Food Foundation, that's where you want to go. truefoodfoundation.org, is that right?
That sounds right.
Okay. Heidi Osterman is the one that you want to get informed. Sign up with that group over there and make sure that you get informed of when they're going to be going out and when they're going to have a public action, and learn who Percy Schmeiser is. Very important stuff.
Very important stuff, especially in light of what's going on in that industry.
And I'm stoked, too, because activism works. We've seen activism work in Central America. We've seen activism work in Brazil, where they've kicked the Monsanto Corporation right out. In India, they're holding the Monsanto Corporation financially responsible. They're doing the same thing in Poland, I believe it is, that they've kicked Monsanto right out. We've got farmers getting rid of these fields, but the United States, the food industry down there is suffering large because Monsanto is dropping the ball. Okay, so get informed about this. Now, another quick story here. Okay,
this is something that came off our page on Facebook, talking about Health Canada and the vitamin police and the fact that they're trying to suppress natural supplements.
The vitamin police in Canada? I saw this nonsense developing down in the United States, where they were trying to get rid of health food stores altogether. They're raiding them with SWAT teams. It's crazy.
They're doing the same thing here in Canada.
So let's get this clip.
This is a PSA from naturalhealthfreedomcanada.com.
Okay, right on. Check this out.
Hi, I'm Nick Mancuso. Some of you may recognize me from my extensive film and TV career, but today I'm here to talk to you about a serious subject, one that could potentially affect the life and health of every man, woman, and child living in Canada. Health Canada, whose salary you pay, an agency of the Government of Canada whose mandate it is to protect the health of Canada, has decided to restrict your use of certain vitamins, herbs, and supplements, and to tell you what you can or cannot put into your body. And it's done so in an insidious, underhanded manner by cutting off your supply at the root without you knowing it. In effect, Health Canada has taken away your right to choose how to heal your body.
Let me please search for it! Don't move! Don't move!
Canadian vitamin suppliers have been attacked by SWAT teams, sometimes in the middle of the night.
Please!
Families terrorized, inventory seized, careers and reputations destroyed. And hard-working Canadian men and women, healers, naturopaths, suppliers, treated like common criminals, with guns pointed to their heads, like it was a drug bust in a bad movie. Only this is real, and it's happened in Canada, and it's an outrage. Canadian suppliers can now face criminal charges for daring to sell you safe and effective products that have been used for generations by Canadians if Health Canada does not issue them a license, what's known as an NPN number, or for daring to tell you the truth of how these products can help your health and your well-being. Does that sound insane? That's because it is. But since 2010, well over 20,000 natural herbs and vitamins have been taken off the shelf without you knowing it.
No, that's an awesome clip. These guys, naturalhealthfreedomcanada.com. And I wish they would get shorter things to type in. Naturalhealthfreedomcanada.com is awesome. And I mean, I'm shocked. They're showing videotape of officers walking in with their guns out at a natural food store.
But what Health Canada is doing is illegal. They do not have jurisdiction over food unless it is dangerous.
There you go. Okay, so you've got to get informed about this, the way that rights and freedoms are getting stripped away. And what he said there was a fact that Health Canada is taking your right to heal yourself away, forcing you to go to pharmaceuticals, forcing you to go to big pharma.
Matters of health in Canada are the sole exclusive domain of the provincial healthcare system. Health Canada does not have any legal authority to regulate health products.
Okay, so that's right out of the Constitutional Act. It's from 1867. Okay, they just ignore. Now, this is another case of the government just chooses what rules it'll pay attention to, what rules it'll take away. There's no real credibility with the federal government, and Health Canada is going down the tubes faster than we can say cancer cures.
Well, the reason they're doing this is because they want Canadians sick, diseased, and addicted to pharmaceuticals.
You look at the economy, okay, and the way the economy runs, they say the GDP, you have sick people, you have a higher GDP because more money is going into it. So it's not economically sensible to have healthy people. And then they go in that direction. Now, I'm not saying conspiracy theory. I'm saying cure people.
I'm saying corruption is what I'm saying.
Let's run this one, too. We got time, okay?
This is another PSA from the same people.
This is awesome. I'm really impressed.
The odds of being killed in a car is about 1 in 5,000. Your odds of getting struck by lightning are 1 in 8,987,657. The odds of being killed in a plane crash is about 1 in 11 million. How about winning the Ontario Lottery? It's about 1 in 28,633,528. The odds of a prescription drug making you ill or killing you, 1 in 6. Not very good odds, are they? And yet, Health Canada is taking healing herbs and vitamins off the shelf of Canadian stores. Why? Ask them. Help stop the war on herbs and vitamins before the odds stop you.
It's very, very strange that they've got a war on health food and health vitamins. I mean, like, where's this coming from? And it's right out of left field. I can't believe it's Canada.
I know, but I mean, we need to have a moratorium on stopping doctors in this country, I think. 1 in 6 are the odds of a prescribed drug causing you harm.
Yeah. I mean, we've got Neil Magnuson, who came in here and did an excellent show talking about Freedom Tour, marijuana, which they've made illegal, and the whole prohibition thing is driving the whole country right into the ground. And then we've got Health Canada turning around saying that you can't have vitamins, that you have to have all of these things. Now, I always raise the question. Take a look at China. No Western medicine whatsoever. If you go into the impoverished areas of China, you have no hospitals. And you still have people working until they're 80 and 90 years old.
Yeah, I know.
All natural solutions. Now, we don't carry that story in major media, that there are natural solutions, there are natural cures to cancer we don't use, there are natural cures to everything we don't use.
They suppress all that stuff, and they also don't talk about the fact that this doesn't just occur in Canada, but it's also occurring south of the border in the States because they have a huge revolving door between the pharmaceutical companies and the Food and Drug Administration.
And just take a look at the makeup of the Food and Drug Administration when you have Monsanto, the largest, Dow Chemicals, the largest major companies involved with food production there, and they have a revolving door between them and the FDA. Okay? And we take our... Harper wants us more in line with the FDA?
Yeah, they want to harmonize our regulations.
That was pretty good. I like that.
I always put the harm in quotes, though.
Yes, yes. Putting the harm in harmony. Stephen Harper, once again, stepping up to bat. We're going to be mocking Stephen Harper abjectly. We have to take a quick 2-minute break right now. And reminding you, make signs. Get out there. Tell us. If you want us to go out and do a rally and start getting information out there, let us know. We're going to be right back.
Okay, Red Pill Radio, baby.
Don't you lay me down in the tall grass.
Covenant music right there from the Vinyl Vault, music chosen by a DJ just to play the music because it's fun. Doing what corporate radio cannot do. I'm Darren Howard.
And I'm Robin Nisbet. We're bringing you first-hand news.
Yeah, hey, good one. We're full of segues today or something. I don't know. Conservatives think we're full of something. We appreciate that. And a hi to all the haters out there who are telling you not to listen to us. We really appreciate that, and we love the racist haters and all of the mean, nasty people who just hate us.
Yes, we love them. We love them. We love everybody. We even love Stephen Harper.
Yes, we love you with the kind of love that holds a pillow really close and just say, you know. Remember this. No can be solved with duct tape that turns it into Okay. Well, you know, honestly, it's kind of insane when you start looking at that. We've got cops rolling into Canadian natural food health stores with guns out. I mean, like it's a raid.
That's crazy.
Okay, we've got cops rolling when kids have squirt guns in Kelowna, and it's kind of crazy, okay? We have this major government over authority happening. David Alexander Macaulay, right on our Facebook wall, brought up this awesome article about my thoughts on anarchy, chaos, and statism. Okay, and if you read the article, it is talking about anarchy for real. It's talking about one of those things that anarchists get painted in a bad picture with. Okay,
well, yeah.
They say that anarchy is all bad.
That word doesn't mean what most people think it means.
Yeah, most people think anarchy means out of control. We're running around, cats living with dogs.
See,
it's crazy.
What anarchy is, the dictionary division, is the opposite of monarchy.
There you go.
Ruled by one versus ruled by many.
Yes, and ruled by many actually is what democracy is supposed to be based on. We're going to be getting into alternative governments coming up September 15th. It's one of our major pushes as we demand democracy. Why do we need democracy? Oh, my goodness. We need democracy in the worst way because we have Christy Clark right here in British Columbia. We've got Enbridge trying to put through a pipeline, and the Harper saying, we're not going to hear any protesters. We don't care. I can't believe it. I mean, Stephen Harper is the best front man for the oil company that the Enbridge has ever seen. Okay? And they can't spill oil fast enough.
They can't, I know. But, you know, we're going to talk about what the province had to say about Enbridge. I never get tired of running this clip.
Yeah, this is awesome.
I love the logo. I love the swooshing in sound, the logo. This tells them that we're a serious company. This is production value.
It's a path to prosperity. A path to thousands of jobs.
Is that supposed to happen? I don't think that's supposed to. That's okay. We'll clean this up. We'll be as good as new. There we go. Okay.
A path to thriving communities. A path to world-class safety standards and low environmental...
I'm sorry. My fault. I hit the wrong switch. I thought I was turning up the heat. I'm sorry.
Low environmental impact. A path that will increase trade, build global alliances, and strengthen Canada's...
Does the pipe have a turn-off thing? Find the turn-off thing. We'll hit it with a hammer. Never mind. We'll go straight to the families. This is the strongest part anyway. This will sell it.
The Northern Gateway Pipeline. It's more than a pipeline. It's a path to our future.
You know, I don't think the animation is really up to our standards anyway, okay? Are the HST stick figures, are they still working? Somebody get in touch with them. We'll call it a wrap for now. Get in touch with them. We'll carry on tomorrow. Anybody into dinner? How about some Chinese? They could do that thing with the duck and the oil.
I never get tired of poking fun at Enbridge.
You know what? That one, they got ripped right off of there. The province had it up on its website. Enbridge complained. They took it off, and then the editors said, well, we're not taking it off because they threatened to pull $2 million in advertising.
Oh, no, that couldn't be the reason. There's no such thing as censorship in the Canadian press.
No, there's no censorship in the Canadian press. There's myopia. Remember, if there's a problem, they can ignore it. That's major media for you. The awesome news story that we've got on Enbridge right now, and if you have been living under a rock, you've got to realize you're trying to put a pipeline through so one company can benefit from crude oil and we don't get the jobs from refining it.
And they've been having a meeting in Nova Scotia in the past weekend about this with the premiers.
Okay.
Which Mr. Harper did not attend, but that's another story for another day.
We'll be balking.
But they were talking about a national energy strategy, and I've got the latest news on that I could find.
Okay, right on.
Premiers met in Halifax today for a final day to discuss healthcare, the economy, and other pressing issues. Today on the agenda, a national energy strategy addressing provinces' interests and concerns over energy planning, generation, and usage. The Northern Gateway Pipeline project is turning neighbors into foes.
From the start, British Columbia's Christy Clarks made it clear she wants no part of a discussion about a so-called national energy strategy, which is being promoted by Alberta's Alison Redford. Redford won over the other premiers, but not Clark.
We will not be participating in a discussion of a national energy strategy.
Even so, it's emerging that the two premiers are mostly at odds over just one word: royalties. Clark wants a share of Alberta's royalties from the oil that would go through the Northern Gateway pipeline across BC. Redford says no way. But in an interview, Redford said if BC taxes the companies instead, then there's no disagreement.
I think there's lots of opportunity for the government of British Columbia to make decisions and use fiscal levers to ensure that within the province of BC, could be whatever the government of British Columbia decides it wants to do.
All of which makes it interesting that Clark did seem to back away from the word.
Take the time to go have a look at the documents that we released on Monday. It makes it pretty clear that we are not talking about royalties in exclusion of other things.
That remark got Redford's attention.
Well, and you're right. I have to say that, from my perspective, was a new comment today. It was slightly different than what I had heard before, and I think that's very good news.
In fact, Redford said she'd be happy to help facilitate a discussion with the oil industry in BC. She's still saying hands off my royalties, and she's also saying there's more than one way to skin a cat. And Clark, it seems, despite the apparent discord, agrees.
Yeah, okay, so they're not arguing about the environment. They're arguing about money and the way it's going. But here's the logic. If you talk to anybody in Calgary and Edmonton, they know they're shipping crude out. They should be building refineries.
They're not even shipping crude. They're shipping bitumen.
Yeah, bitumen is just water mixed with the crap that gets shipped out. And then, you've got basically an oil tanker. We've got a pipeline going through pristine territory, and then you got an oil tanker going, which is basically a big fuel bladder in the most rocky, jagged coastline in North America.
And Enbridge's track record as far as oil spills isn't really that good.
So remember, if you want to get a hold of Enbridge, just phone 403-231-3900. Yes, indeed, you can get a hold of Enbridge in Alberta at 403-231-3900. The general inquiries are webmaster-corp@enbridge.com. And, of course, you can phone their news media director, Jennifer Vary, who's probably got the worst job on the entire planet at Enbridge at 403-508-6563. Remember, Enbridge at 403-508-6563. Please urge them to start getting involved with maybe some alternative energy. Might that be a good idea? We're going to be writing those numbers and some ads coming up next. And what's the story we got coming up next?
We're going to be talking about the Nexen takeover by the Chinese National Offshore Oil Company.
This is Radio Free Canada. The news refuses to cover. We'll be back. 2 minutes.
When I was young, it seemed that life was so wonderful. A miracle. Oh, it was beautiful, magical. And all the birds in the trees will they be singing so happily. Oh, joyfully. Oh, playfully watching me. But then they sent me away to teach me how to be sensible, logical, oh, responsible.
we did it again. We're sitting here talking about the solutions, right? People are winning. Activism is winning, is changing minds, is doing way better than the government in voting. Okay?
It's even scaring the powers that be.
Yes, they are afraid of activism. YouTube, many countries have gone to YouTube and to Facebook saying, we would like you to ban all protest videos. And if you type in the word protest into YouTube, first of all, you'll get a lot of spam. You'll get a couple pages of nonsense from other weird, like a band called Protest. There's a musical band called Protest and stuff like that. But once you get past that, put on your date filter, and you will get hundreds of protests every weekend around the world. And that's what the news refuses to cover.
I have had some weird results when I type something into the YouTube search engine.
Yeah, I know, it's just getting weirder. It's getting stranger
I typed
out
in
there.
cybersecurity. I got all kinds of stuff about Xbox and PS3.
I know.
Why?
Cybersecurity and you get Xbox?
I'm looking for the tagline in it. I don't even see the tag in it. But anyway.
You know what? But be persistent. Be dogmatic. Get informed. Question us and what we're talking about. Make sure you're informed. Find out what false flags are. Find out what fractional reserve lending is. We're going to be talking about that in the next hour. But this is really cheesing off the American government, our own power companies, okay?
Yeah. Here's a story from Reuters that people need to be informed about, and I have a follow-up for it.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Chinese are newcomers, but they're coming in a fairly fast pace. Sinuk's offer to purchase 100% of Nexen will be by far the largest foreign merger and acquisition deal of any Chinese company has done in the world in any sector. What worries me though is what happens afterwards. There will be cultural barriers, language barriers. The Chinese have always been interested in Canada's energy and resource sectors. So in the past 2.5 years, we're looking at Chinese putting in about $16 billion. The government has been concerned in the beginning. I mean, back in 2006, the Conservative government didn't want to do anything with the Chinese, but partly because they didn't know China at the time. Now I think they've learned that the Chinese investments are not that scary, and we do actually need that capital. Historically, Canada has been trading with the United States. So is our investment relationship. I think now we need to get used to and learning how to cope with the Chinese and other Asian investments in Canada.
Now, the tax implications, assuming that the NICs would be over the cap, which they would be, that the first $5 million and the...
That went into another story that I wasn't aware of.
Sorry about that. That's okay. Don't worry about it. It's not like we're corporate media. We're not so uptight around here. We have to worry about everything being perfect. But there you go. The Chinese coming in
and buying Nexen Energy.
Yeah, buying a huge energy, and of course that's got the Americans paying attention.
But it's also got the Canadian security agencies paying attention too.
CSIS. Okay, this is interesting. So just to round it out, let's run this real quick. Get informed.
Canadian intelligence services appear to be probing financial links between First Nations groups and Chinese companies as scrutiny grows around China's interest in this country's natural resources sector. Earlier this week, China oil company CNOOC announced a $15 billion takeover bid for Calgary-based Nexen. The proposal will have to pass scrutiny under the Canada Investment Act. Some politicians appear to be concerned about China's influence in Canada's oil patch, while some investors are getting excited about the possibility of a boom in mergers and acquisitions in Canada's energy sector. CNOOC made the largest foreign takeover bid to date by a Chinese company, offering a 66% premium on the value of Nexen's 20-day average share price. To meet the federal government's requirements that there be a net benefit to Canada, they sweetened the deal by offering to list on the Toronto Stock Exchange, retain Nexen's Canadian employees, and establish Calgary as Beijing-based CNOOC's North American headquarters. As China's domestic investment opportunities have dwindled in a weakening economy, its appetite for stronger, more stable opportunities internationally has grown. And as China's capital-rich, state-run companies look to secure their future, they're increasingly turning to resource-rich countries around the world, and that includes Canada. Last year, the China Investment Corporation, one of the largest sovereign wealth funds in the world, established its first overseas office in Toronto. In 2009, the fund purchased almost 1/5 of the shares of Teck Resources, a Canadian company with 13 mines around the world. China has also made several purchases in the Alberta oil patch. In 2010, Sinopec took 9% of Syncrude for $4.65 billion, and more recently, PetroChina purchased 40% of the McKay River project from Athabasca Oil Sands for $680 million. PetroChina and some projects of Sinopec are controlled by Zhou Bin. He's the son of Zhou Yongkang, who's the acting head of the Blood Debt faction and the head of the Political and Legislative Affairs Committee. Zhou Yongkang has been the subject of increasing scrutiny for directing the persecution of religious believers, legal dissidents, as well as directing the suppression of protests.
Okay.
So there you go. Don't worry about human rights and China's violation of them. As long as they got money, come on in.
But
take our energy.
You know, that's the truth about, Canadian and American policy from the government right across the board. If they're making money, they don't care how they treat their citizens. This is something that the Chinese government really appreciates because we have slave labor supplying us with Nike, Adidas, Walmart. Okay, and they say, well, it's fine if we have Chinese slave labor because it's making us money.
Yes.
Or saving us money or some other nonsense like that.
Yeah, it's all about money, isn't it?
Yeah, and we are not all about money. Actually, the economy doesn't work. The entire monetary system needs to be fixed. But if you remember, the Chinese have huge cash simply because they absorbed a whole bunch of debt off of the Americans and have all of these American dollars, fiat currency they make up out of nowhere, to buy the world's energy resources.
Yes, China owns a significant portion of the U.S. debt.
And talking about stories that they're ignoring at the CBC because they've got royalty and the Olympics, they're trying to audit the Fed down in the United States.
Yes, that is huge. It passed the House. It hasn't passed the Senate. Apparently, Harry Reid, the Speaker of the Senate, has said it won't get an up or down vote.
We've got stories coming up in the next hour, and we're going to continue talking about the power, the way that things are not being covered, and, of course, the big cover-up in the news, calling themselves news while they cover sports. The fastest 2 hours in talk radio continues. I'm Darren Howard.
And I am Robert Nisbet.
We're going to be right back with some major stories, talking about Anaheim. We're going to talk about some theaters. We're going to be talking about all those things Major News doesn't want us to.
You got that right.
This is Radio Free Canada. We're going to be right back, right with the next hour.